Hi, good evening, everyone, and welcome to the another episode of Important Events for CLAT 2024. Today is 18th of November, and tomorrow all of you are eagerly waiting for the final match of the World Cup 2023. So let's do this session so that you can revise before you go ahead and watch the match. Okay. So we have already covered some of the important events in the previous three sessions, and today I'm going to cover another set of important events from CLAT perspective, CLAT 2024. And as I have said earlier, this will definitely help you with other law entrances as well. So without taking much time, let me straight go ahead and just have a look about what all we are going to talk about today, what all sessions what all important events we are going to cover today actually. So पिछली वीडियो की तरह पिछले सेशंस की तरह आज भी हम कुछ important टॉपिक्स को कवर करेंगे and that includes like topics like we'll be talking about GI tax. We'll be talking about some of the important military exercises which India takes on a regular basis. We'll be also talking about the Green Revolution. The reason is very simple. The father of Green Revolution in India passed away recently, so we are definitely going to cover that. And we'll be talking about India's reduced emission rate, जो ग्रीन हाउस गैसेस इफेक्ट है हम उसके ऊपर बात करेंगे. And definitely Nobel Prize is another important aspect we should not forget to cover, we should not forget to learn about. So let's go ahead one by one and हर एक इवेंट को इन डिटेल कवर करते हैं and I'll present you the most important of the aspects so that you are getting as much data as possible. जितना डेटा हम कवर कर सकते हैं उतना हम कवर करने की कोशिश करेंगे इस पूरे सेशन के अंदर about these events. So we'll start with the Green Revolution and I've already given you the context की why we are talking about Green Revolution, why this could be an important event from the exam perspective. क्यों important हो सकता है? So the reason is very simple. Dr. M.S. Swaminathan, who is also known as the father of India's Green Revolution, he passed away on September 28th. He was 98 years old actually and Padma Vibhushan awardee as well. Dr. Swaminathan was the Director General of Indian Council of Agriculture Research, ICAR, and he was also the former head of International Rice Research Institute at Philippines, actually. He was the first to get the World Food Prize. Family की बात करते हैं, so he is survived by three daughters, of which one of the names you are definitely familiar with, Dr. Soumya Swaminathan, who is the former Deputy Director General of WHO. So I'm sure जब WHO के बारे में पढ़ा होगा किसी भी context में, so you definitely recognize Dr. Soumya Swaminathan. She has done some great work with the organization WHO. Dr. M.S. Swaminathan was also acclaimed by the Time magazine as one of the 20 most influential Asians of the 20th century. And if you talk from the Indian context, he was one of the only three from India, the other two being Mahatma Gandhi and Rabindranath Tagore. So definitely this information becomes very, very important. And जो United Nations Environment Program है, they described him as the father of economic ecology. So there are a lot of important aspects about Dr. Swaminathan, which you should definitely remember. The recognitions, the positions he hold for a long time actually. So that becomes very, very important to remember. Actually, these data is very, very important. Talking about Green Revolution, जो world stage पे Green Revolution था, that was an initiative by Norman Borlaug in the 1960s, and Norman Borlaug is also known as the father of Green Revolution in the world actually. So not just to a particular country. Norman Borlaug is known as father of Green Revolution in the world, but Dr. M.S. Swaminathan is known for his work in India, and he is known as the father of India's green revolution basically. Now, what exactly this green revolution did was, green revolution actually resulted in the increase in the production of the food grains, especially wheat and rice. अगर हम उसकी बात करें, so these two particular crops, wheat and rice, उनका जो production था, that got significantly increased actually. While we were facing the famine, this was the idea which came actually. Now, if you look at the time span, Green Revolution, it's spreads from 1967 to 68, and the next to 1977-78. So this was the time span basically. So we are talking about a duration of a decade basically, which changed. This revolution changed India's status from a food starved country or a food deficient country to the world's leading agricultural nations, and brought them into that league actually. Okay. And definitely this revolution addressed the India's hunger crisis during the second 5-year plan. Now, in 1943 की बात करते हैं, so India actually suffered from one of the world's worst recorded food crisis, जो बंगाल famine हुआ था. वो उस समय की बात है, around 1943. So very important information this is actually, and this resulted in the death of approximately 4 million people in eastern India. So Bengal famine actually resulted in the death of more than 4 million people in the eastern part of the country. And then post independence until 1967, the government was concentrated more on expanding the farming areas basically, but जो हमारा population है, that was growing at a much faster rate than the food production itself. तो जो फूड प्रोडक्शन था उससे ज्यादा तेजी से हमारा पॉपुलेशन बढ़ रहा था. सो दैट डेफिनेटली रिक्वायर्ड अ ड्रास्टिक एक्शन टू बी टेकन टू इंक्रीज द yield, to increase the not just area but also to increase the yield, and that effect came from that green revolution actually. So that is a period when Indian agriculture was kind of converted into an industrial system, where modern methods and technologies were used, like high yield variety of seeds, tractors, irrigation facilities, pesticides, fertilizers. सबका mix है. That revolution is a mix of the usage of the modern technology along with the resources available, which also included high yielding variety of the seeds. Now, this revolution was basically funded by the United Nations, Indian government, and the Ford Foundation basically. So ये दो countries की हम बात कर रहे हैं. United Nations also funded the Green Revolution of India. Then of course we had our own government, and there was a third party, the Ford and Rockefeller Foundation. So this could be a very important name you should definitely remember. Though green revolution that is largely associated with the wheat revolution, because wheat production increased by almost 3 times in the period 1967-68 to 2003 to 4, whereas अगर overall cereals का production देखिए तो that increased only 2 times. So that's all about the green revolution. Has its significance this particular year because the father of green revolution, Dr. M.S. Swaminathan, passed away, and I'm sure the unfortunate, but that sets the context for this being an important event. Now, Nobel Prize, as usual, the the one of the important awards we wait every year to be announced actually, while the awards will be given to the achievers on 10th of December, but the announcements is always done earlier actually. So there is a set timeline for everything. This year also we have for all the 6 segments we have winners, so we'll look at that information. But उसके पहले नोबेल प्राइज की थोड़ी हिस्ट्री जान लेते हैं, थोड़े इंपॉर्टेंट फैक्ट्स को जान लेते हैं. That is something which is very very important. So I'm sure I need not get into the much details of against whom this award is named actually. So this was founded by Alfred Nobel in accordance with his will actually. He made loads of money, and according to his will, this prize was established basically. Now, the prizes will definitely be given on 10th of December 2023 for this year's awardee, but the announcements have been done in the month of October. Now, Nobel Prize was for the first time was given in 1901 actually, except for the economics. The Nobel Prize for Economic Sciences or the economics, they were first given in the year 1969 to physics, literature, chemistry, peace, और मेडिसिन की जो कैटेगरी है वो 1901 से ही थी, बट जो इकोनॉमिक्स का प्राइस था, नोबेल प्राइज, दैट गॉट एडेड इन द ईयर 1969 एक्चुअली. So far, if you look from 1901 till now, this has been Nobel Prize has been awarded 609 times to 975 people and 25 organizations. Now, among these 975 individuals, there are 5 individuals who got the Nobel Prize more than once, and there are 2 organizations who also received the Nobel Prize more than once actually. Let's look at who were the winners from the first Nobel Prize, which was distributed in 1901. And of course, you would remember that in that particular year, economics prize was not even there actually. So for chemistry, the award went to Jacobus Hoff for his remarkable work in the field of laws of chemical dynamics and osmotic pressure. जो literature का Nobel Prize था, that went to Sully Prudhomme. पीस की अगर बात करें तो हेनरी ड्यूरेंट एंड फ्रेडरिक पैसी को ये अवार्ड मिला था. फिजिक्स के लिए विल्हेम कॉनराड रॉन्टजेन, इनको अवार्ड मिला था फॉर डिस्कवरी ऑफ एक्सरेज. जो मेडिसिन, विच इज ऑल्सो फिजियोलॉजी, जो मेडिसिन का नोबेल प्राइज है, दैट वेंट टू एमिल बॉन वेरिंग for his work, for the work on serum therapy basically. So may not be that critical data, but there's no though there's no harm in remembering this. Surprises can be there in the examinations for what you are preparing for actually, isn't it? Some important aspects from our country actually. So if you look at Indian Nobel laureates, so जब ब्रिटिश इंडिया का जो जो टाइम था, उस समय there were 2 Indians. So before independence, we had two Indians getting the award. The first Indian to get the Nobel Prize, definitely. In that sense, typically, if we talk about being an Indian, is Rabindranath Tagore for literature. He got the award in 1913, and C.V. Raman got the award in the field of physics in 1930. जो इंडिपेंडेंट इंडिया के सिटीजन्स थे, इफ यू लुक एट फ्रॉम दैट पर्सपेक्टिव, मदर टेरेसा गॉट द नोबेल पीस प्राइज इन 1979. Amartya Sen got the Nobel Prize for Economic Sciences in 1998, and Kailash Satyarthi got the Nobel Peace Prize in 2014. Now, जो डायस्पोरा है, मतलब इंडियंस, पीपल ऑफ इंडियन ओरिजिन बट लिविंग अब्रॉड इन सम अदर कंट्रीज, अगर हम उस सेगमेंट में जाते हैं, देन वी हैव हरगोविंद खुराना who won the award in the field of medicine in the year 1968, Subramanian Chandrasekhar for physics in 1983, V.S. Naipaul for literature in 2001, Venkatraman Ramakrishnan for chemistry in 2009, and Abhijit Banerjee along with his wife actually. So Abhijit Banerjee along with his wife got the award for his work in the field of economics in the year 2009. But they are part of Indian diaspora. They are part of Indian origin, but they are actually citizens of other countries basically. Expatriates की अगर बात करें, we have Ronald Ross for medicine in 1902, and the famous author who wrote mostly for the children, Rudyard Kipling, for literature in 1907 basically. So that's about the Indians, whether who were the citizen of India during British time or post-independence, or the people of Indian origin. So these are the names you should definitely not forget. Now here's a very interesting fact which has been accepted by the Nobel Foundation as a great omission actually. They accepted it as one of the great omissions, and they definitely regret that. Mahatma Gandhi was nominated unsuccessfully for the Nobel Peace Prize 5 times. 5 times, 1937 and 1939, then again in 1947, and a few days before he was assassinated in January 1948. So, but unfortunately, the Nobel Foundation missed that, actually, giving him the award for the Nobel Peace for the peace efforts, actually. Some other interesting facts about the Nobel Prizes. Youngest person to receive the Nobel Prize ever, Malala Yousafzai. I'm sure you are aware about this girl. She got the award at the age of 17, Nobel Peace Prize in 2014, along with Kailash Satyarthi. Kailash Satyarthi also won the award for peace in 2014. The oldest person to ever receive a Nobel Prize is John Gordon at the age of 97, who received the Nobel Prize in Chemistry in the year 2019. The only person to receive more than one unshared Nobel Prize. So unshared Nobel Prize की बात कर रहे हैं, किसी और के साथ share नहीं किया. Normally you'll see in most of the categories there are people who are sharing the prizes every year, but the only person who received it more than once but never shared it with anybody else, no other person won that in that category in that year, is Linus Pauling, who received the prize twice, once in 1954 for chemistry, but in 1962, Nobel Peace Prize was awarded to him. So Linus Pauling got one for his work in the field of chemistry, and the other was Nobel Peace Prize. The country with the most Nobel laureates, United States, 411 Nobel laureates and 413 awards, actually. So that's the statistics. United States, 411 laureates, including the recent ones, and together they account for 413 Nobel Awards, basically. Now, who are the laureates and the organization? Remember, we spoke about 5 individuals and 2 organizations. So, Marie Curie received the prize twice. One was for physics in 1903, and the other was for in the field of chemistry in 1911. Linus Pauling, as we spoke about earlier, Nobel Prize for in the field of chemistry in 1954 and Nobel Peace Prize in 1962. John Bardeen received the prize twice in physics, 1956 and 1972. Frederick Sanger received the prize twice in the field of chemistry, 1958 and 1980. And Carl Barry Sharpless received the prize twice, Nobel Prize in Chemistry, 2001 and 2022. Now, the 2 organizations, International Committee of the Red Cross, generally known as Red Cross, received the prize 3 times. Peace Prize 1917, Peace Prize 1944, and 1963. And United Nations High Commission for Refugees again won the prize twice, once in 1954 and 1981. So those were the interesting facts. Now let's move on to recognize the awardees for the 2023. So, starting with the economics, also known as Sperry's Riksbank Prize. ये याद रखना, this could be an important one. The Nobel Prize in Economics or Economic Sciences is officially known as Sveriges Riksbank Prize, and this has been awarded to Harvard professor Claudia Goldin. Now, just a brief about her work for which she has been awarded. She provided a comprehensive account of women's earning and labor market participation through these centuries, through the a lot of data work she has done, actually. So economics ka kisko gaya? Claudia Goldin ko. Now, when we talk about Nobel Prize for Medicine for the year 2023, this has been jointly given to Katalin Kariko and Drew Weissman for their pioneer work in mRNA technology, which was very, very instrumental in developing the COVID-19 vaccinations. Okay, very important. Nobel Prize for Physics 2023 was shared between Pierre Agostini, Ferenc Cross, and Anne Lehler for their experimental techniques generating attosecond pulses of light. Okay, so physics का award 3 लोगों ने share किया. 23 Nobel Prize in the field of chemistry went to Mongi G. Bawendi, Lois Bruce, and Alexei Ekimov for their discovery and synthesis of quantum dots. Okay, so next two categories. Literature went to a Norwegian author, John Fosse, and the Nobel Peace Prize went to the Iranian activist Narges Mohammadi for her relentless fight against the oppression of women in Iran and her commitment to promoting human rights and freedom. So, six categories के award होते हैं. The names are important. You should have a real look. So, just remember these names. Very very important actually, and just look at those interesting facts once again when you get time. Now, moving on, geographical indication tax. I'm sure you definitely, if you have seen some past year papers, at least if not CLAT, definitely becomes very, very important for AILT. AILT has a habit of asking questions, couple of questions on GI tax almost every year or almost every alternate year actually. So usually काफी सारे एग्जाम्स में पूछे जाता है GI tax के क्वेश्चन आते हैं. But I thought let's cover a little bit in detail, and of course you would be required to do a little bit of research on your side as well. But I'll definitely present some of the important aspects over here about GI tax. Now, what exactly is GI tax? Basically, it's a sign which is used on products that have a specific geographical origin, and they actually possess qualities or some reputation being from that particular origin actually. So it's a tag, it's a sign given to products because of their place of origin actually. So that given place becomes the is very very important. Now definitely when we talk about the GI tax, GI tax actually gives right or enables right for those who have the right to use the indication to prevent its use by a third party whose product do not conform to the applicable standards. Okay, so typically GI tax are used for agricultural products, foodstuffs, wine and spirit drinks, handicrafts and industrial products. Now this is covered under article 1 subsection 2 and Article 10 of the Paris Convention for the protection of industrial property. Geographical indications are often covered as an element of intellectual property rights. IPRs के अंदर cover होते हैं. It is also covered under the trade-related aspects of intellectual property rights TRIPS agreement of WTO. इंडियन GI टैक्स की बात करते हैं स्पेसिफिकली Tamil Nadu, Karnataka, they have one of the maximum number of GI tax basically. Karnataka आज के डेट में highest है 48 GI tax, followed by Tamil Nadu 42 GI tax. Now these GI tax are valid for a period of 10 years and can be renewed for another 10 years. It is very important for you to remember this fact that the Darjeeling tea of West Bengal is the first Indian product to get GI tag. Darjeeling tea of West Bengal is the first Indian product to get the GI tag way back in 2004, 19 years ago. So this should not be forgotten. Okay. कर्नाटका के पास 48 GI टैक्स हैं, तमिलनाडु के पास 42 GI टैक्स हैं, the two critical states. Now, one of the very important information is about India's reduced emission rate in the last 14 years, and it has been reduced by almost 33%. Okay, so जो इंडिया के ग्रीन हाउस emissions हैं, ग्रीन हाउस emission rate जो है that has dropped by almost 33%. It's much faster than what we are expecting. And in the last 14 years, if we talk about the period 2005 to 2019, 33% का drop हुआ है greenhouse emissions में in our country actually. Why? The reason is very simple. If you look at the two critical aspects, one is जो renewable energy generation है वो increase हुआ है और जो forest cover है वो भी increase हुआ है. So these two have definitely contributed to achieve those results quite quickly actually in the last 14 years itself. Let's not forget the fact that India is committed to United Nations Convention on Climate Change to reduce its emissions by by 45% from 2005 level to 2030 actually. So जो level था उससे 45% रिडक्शन का कमिटमेंट किया है इंडिया ने to United Nations Convention on Climate Change, and that 45% reduction is to be achieved by the year 2020. We have already achieved 33%, 7 more years to go. I'm sure we'll be achieving more than that and we'll definitely beat our own estimates. And definitely we'll go ahead and beat our estimates to our commitment made to the United Nations. Now, how these greenhouse emissions rate are measured? They are measured at rate of emissions intensity. And what exactly is that? That's the total amount of greenhouse gas emissions emitted for every unit increase of GDP. Total amount of greenhouse gas emissions emitted for every unit increase of gross domestic product or GDP. Now, average rate of reduction जो था, that was 3%. That was 3% per annum in the last 3 years, 16 to 19 की अगर हम बात करें, but उसके पहले this was about 1.5% only. एज ऑफ 2019 जो इंडिया का फॉरेस्ट कवर है, फॉरेस्ट एंड ट्री कवर है, दैट इज 24.56% और 80.73 million hectares of land space basically. Thermal power stations still provide 73% of the electricity consumed. Okay, so थोड़ा सा डाउन हुआ है from 75% in 2019. It has come down to 73%, but thermal power plants still contribute to the maximum when it comes to actual electricity consumptions. So that was related to the environment. Next, moving on to the last event for the today's session. We'll continue this session actually, and we'll have a couple of more sessions before the exam, CLAT exam, where we'll covering some of the other important events as well. But the last one for today, I'm going to talk about the military exercises. So some very important info data you'll have to learn about, you'll have to remember actually. Bilateral exercises की पहले बात कर लेते हैं. So currently, if you look at, we have one bilateral exercise with Australia, which is Ostra Hind. We have Sampriti with Bangladesh, hand-in-hand exercise with China. शक्ति है फ्रांस के साथ, गरुड़ शक्ति है इंडोनेशिया के साथ, धर्मा गार्जियन with Japan. Similarly, we have couple of other exercises with other countries. With UK, we have Ajay Warrior and Indradhanush. With United States, we have Vajra Prahar and Yuddha Vyas. These are joint military exercises between the two countries. These are bilateral exercises, only two countries, of which one is India, and there is another country which is involved. So this is the list of the exercise name, the military exercise name, which is listed out here. And then we have the countries participating along with India for the respective exercises. So please remember, I'm sure you remember, with Thailand, we have two exercises, Maitri and Korpat. With UK, we have two exercises, Ajay Warrior and Indradhanush. With US, we have two exercises, Vajra Prahar and Yuddha Abhyas. So ये data याद रखना. Multilateral exercises की बात कर लेते हैं, which is also on a very big scale. The first one is definitely RIMPAC, Rim of the Pacific exercise. Rim of the Pacific, the exercise is RIMPAC. There are 26 nations in this exercise. Australia, Brunei, Canada, Chile, China, all these nations which you can see on the screen, along with India, of course. So we have 26 nation. And what exactly is RIMPAC? RIMPAC is the world's largest international maritime warfare exercise. Okay. The second one is Malabar, where there are three permanent nations, and there's a fourth nation which joins. Earlier, it was like Australia. So there are actually four nations involved in Malabar exercise. It's a joint naval exercise on the Malabar coast, and that's why the name Malabar. India, United States, and Japan are permanent members of the Malabar exercise. So remember, there are four nations involved, but these three, India, US, and Japan, they are permanent members of this exercise. Then we have SITMEX, India, Singapore, Thailand, again a joint naval exercise. And another important, there are a couple of more, but we are covering these four important ones. The other one is BIMSTEC, Bay of Bengal Initiative for Multi-Sectoral Technical and Economic Cooperation. It's a big one, but you need to remember Bay of Bengal Initiative for Multi-Sectoral Technical and Economic Cooperation, BIMSTEC. Now, who are the participants? The BIMSTEC countries. Okay, which are the BIMSTEC countries? South Asia, say Bangladesh, Bhutan, India, Nepal, Sri Lanka, and then we have Myanmar and Thailand. Now, this is a humanitarian assistance and disaster relief exercise, basically HADR. Okay, HADR, short form में याद रखना, humanitarian assistance and disaster relief. This is not exactly, I would say, from a war perspective, but more from a humanitarian relief perspective actually. So BIMSTEC nations इसमें participate करते हैं. BIMSTEC nation कौन कौन से हैं? Bangladesh, Bhutan, India, Nepal, Sri Lanka, Myanmar, and Thailand. There are 7 nations which are known as BIMSTEC nations. So we covered 5 events again today. And with this, I believe we have covered more than 20 events so far, the critical ones basically. We'll continue to do some more in the coming few days. Actually, by the next 10 days, we'll cover more, at least 10 more events, and hope that will cover a lot of the important ones from the exam perspective. But no doubt, I'm sure you are going ahead with your own research. You are definitely now into the revision mode, and the notes which you made earlier, that you are going to revise quickly, which will definitely help you in the examination. So with that, we come to an end of this session today. See you next time with the 5th episode, with the 5th session, when I'll be joining you once again. Just check out the channel on a regular basis as we keep continuing the different content which are going to be very, very useful for the upcoming law entrances. Thank you so much, and all the best.